going on, Mets fans? It is All Things Mets, where you get your latest Mets media. Everything you need to know about the Mets on this channel. So definitely leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy Mets content and baseball content in general. So definitely today's topic is going to be the 5 first things in the Mets career of Dave Stearns that he has to do. So we're going to get into the first thing. And obviously we know the first one, and that's going to be to extend Pete Alonso. This nonsense about Pete Alonso not being extended, this has to be done by Dave Stearns. You're coming into the first time a new position, the president of baseball operations for the New York Mets. You were the president of baseball operations for the Milwaukee Brewers, and now Dave Stearns is the president of baseball operations for the New York Mets, and the first one. So there's a lot of pressure on this guy. But the first move that you got to make is you got to extend Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso is a big part of this team. He is very, very important to the New York Mets. He is the first baseman. He is one of the best power hitters in all of baseball. And man, I'll tell you this. There's been reports about Chicago Cubs and wanting Pete Alonso and doing everything that they can to get Pete Alonso in the offseason. And Pete Alonso saying that he might be interested. This is not a good thing for the Mets to hear with Dave Stearns. So Dave Stearns has to put this to bed. In the offseason, you got to make the move to extend Pete Alonso. Whether he wants 10 years, 9 years, 8 years, you got to make it happen. You have to make it happen. And the Mets were definitely trying to get an extension done, at the end of the season, but they couldn't come to terms with the years that Pete Alonso wanted and the Mets wanted. Pete Alonso wanted 10 years. The Mets probably wanted 8 years. So it just wasn't a fit. But listen, at the end of the day, it's going to be the offseason, and you got to get Alonso. You got to extend Alonso. Alonso is everything to this team. Everything to the New York Mets is Alonso. He hits you for power. He plays pretty good defense, not great defense. But man, this guy is one of the best power hitters. He is basically the heart of your team. So if the Mets were able to, if the Mets lost Pete Alonso, it would be a disaster for the New York Mets, because there is not a situation where the Braves lost Freddie Freeman and they could go get a Matt Olson. It's not the same thing. So Pete Alonso, the Mets better extend Pete Alonso, and they better extend him, definitely in the offseason. This is your window. This is your window to extend Pete Alonso. And there was reports now that Pete Alonso changed his agency. Now he is a Scott Boras client. So that is big news for Pete Alonso, big news for the Mets. And the Mets, this might be good for the Mets because they have a good relationship with Scott Boras, and he has a few clients like, Brandon Nimmo, Max Scherzer, and, other clients as well. But you just can't let Pete Alonso go. And you got to figure out if you have to extend Pete Alonso. And if you don't, that is going to be a big decision by Dave Stearns. If you do not extend Pete Alonso, you are not going to, put yourself in a good position to sign him after, he's going to be a free agent. He has 1 more year with the New York Mets. 1 more year. Then he's going to be a free agent. Yes, he's at the age of 31 years old. Yes, he wants a long-term contract. Yes, he wants to be a Met. Yes, he's still interested in the Cubs if they give him an offer and they want him. Who wouldn't be? The Cubs look like a good organization. They look like they know what they're doing, and they look like they're getting better. So you cannot, if you're Dave Stearns, you have to extend Pete Alonso. Now, the second thing on the list is going to be to hire a GM, a guy that can, take the reins of this team, can make trades for this team, can, definitely listen and work together with Dave Stearns to get, people, to make signings, to make additions, to make subtractions, to do what you need to do for a baseball team to be successful. Now, I'm not going to talk about who is going to be a possible candidate for a GM. That's going to be another video. But definitely, I just want to talk about the importance of a GM, because when you think about a GM, you think about a guy like, who makes trades, who, you know, makes additions, who looks always is trying to improve the team, always is trying to do what's best for the team and work together with the president of baseball operations, with the manager that I'm going to get to as well. But Billy Epler and the situation with GM, that's over. Okay, that's over. He is not going to be the GM going forward to the New York Mets, and the Mets have to find someone that they trust and that can work together with Dave Stearns as a team, as a unit, come to a consensus and do what you got to do to make this team better. You know, this team has a lot of good parts. It has some bad parts just in general, but you got to make this team better. As a GM, you got to make this team better, and that is the job of a general manager for a team. So definitely, guys, a GM, that's a very, very important position. And Dave Stearns, he's going to have to do some scrambling to get a guy. Now, they could hire some in-house options. They could look to some other options as well. I'm going to make another video about that soon. But definitely, I want to talk about also the third thing on the list for Dave Stearns is going to be to hire a manager. A manager, the guy that manages the players on the field. And definitely, you need a good manager. You need a guy. Do you need a guy with baseball experience? Do you need a guy without baseball experience? Is that a big thing? I definitely think that a guy with baseball experience, a manager with baseball experience, is a big thing. You want a guy that has that manager, you know, that baseball league experience, that major league baseball experience. You want that guy. You want a guy to, you know, be able to make decisions, to be able to freedom, not just the not to, you know, be, you know, from the front office and tell him what he can't do and what he could do. That's not what I want to see from Dave Stearns. Listen, you're going to be the president, the first president of baseball operations. You got to make a move. You got to make, and you got to trust your team. These guys have to work together as a team. The GM, the manager, the president of baseball operations, they all have to work together as a team, because at the end of the day, they have one goal, and that's to make the team better, make the team successful, and get to the World Series, get to the playoffs again. Definitely after this horrible, horrible season, this the debacle of a season that, you know, the Mets had in 2023. But that's a big thing, guys. So to hire a manager is a big, big thing. And the Mets got to find a guy that they trust and that, you know, can possibly be a really good manager for this team. Now, is it going to be somebody with baseball experience? Is it going to be somebody without baseball experience? You know, without that major league baseball experience, you know, managing. I don't know what the answer is to that, but I'll tell you this. Man. Dave Stearns has a lot of decisions to make, and he got to make them pretty soon. He does not have a lot of time. The offseason, you know, is not that long. It's pretty short. So definitely, and he just got into the position. So he got to get the ball rolling. He got to get familiar with the New York Mets. He got to get familiar with the situation. And yeah, man, the fourth thing that I'm going to say that Dave Stearns has to do, he has to do, and I mean, if he wants to improve the pitching on this team, because you have basically almost a once-in-a-lifetime talent with Yamamoto, a Japanese pitcher who was a two-time MVP, you know, was a triple crown pitching, you know, twice, you know, award winner, you know, in Japan. One of the best pitchers Japan has ever seen. And I know with the signing of Senga last year, you know, and him pitching this year, you saw what Senga did. So imagine a younger Senga, a younger guy that's 25 years old. Yamamoto is 25 years old. He is a very talented, you know, pitcher, one of the best pitchers. His ERA, his career ERA is 1.72. That is a great ERA, and definitely what he comes with a fastball. He comes with a curveball. His curveball is nasty. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but his curveball is disgusting. It is really good. He has a forkball as well. And, man, his fastball is really good. You know, his fastball plays up to 95 plus. Is it going to be 100? Is it going to be 99? Probably not. But this kid is talented. He's 25 years old, and he has the same agent as Senga. He has the same agent as Senga. So this is a big, big, big signing that the Mets have to make. If they want to improve their pitching, if they want to make the pitching important, they got to get a guy like him. Because a lot of people, a lot of teams are going to go after Yamamoto because of how young he is, how good he is, how great he is. He is going to be, you know, obviously he's never pitched in the major leagues. But, man, I'll tell you this. He is a very, very interesting talent, a very young pitcher. And pitching is very, very important, as we've seen, obviously, throughout the years as Mets fans and throughout the years as baseball fans. So, Yamamoto, this is a guy that has to be picked up from the New York Mets. Now, listen, Yamamoto, he has the same agent as Senga. So, you got to take advantage of the situation, okay? You got to take advantage of the situation. You got to sign a guy like him. And imagine him sliding into the rotation with Senga, with Quintana, you know, and maybe they go get a guy like Blake Snell. Maybe they go get another guy. I don't know what they do. But, man, maybe they make a trade. Listen, Dave Stearns has a lot of decisions to make. But this decision to get a guy like Yamamoto, that is a big, big decision. And you got the most money in basically, you got the richest owner in baseball. So money should not be an issue with the Yamamoto situation. So, man, you got to make this guy come to your team. You really do. And if you do, it's going to be a big, big win for the New York Mets going forward, man, because you got a young pitcher, 25 years old, under control for many, many years, you know, having a big contract, you know, maybe a 7-year, maybe an 8-year contract. That is good. That is great. And he's 25 years old. He is young. He is young. So the last thing that I'm going to say Dave Stearns has to do, and that's going to be the last thing on the list, the 5th thing on the list, and that's going to be to find out who goes and to find out who leaves. Because Dave Stearns has a lot of decisions to make. He has a lot of decisions to make. You know, first of all, with third base. First of all, with pitching. First of all, with the bullpen. A lot of decisions to make. But you got to find out who you want to be on this team going forward and who you think that possibly could be traded. Now, is a guy like Ronnie Mauricio, Brett Beatty, Mark Vientos, are these guys the future? Are these guys going to be staying on your team as the core on your team? Or are you going to go for a guy like Soto? Are you going to trade for a guy like Soto? Are you going to do that? And are you going to, you know, definitely sacrifice, the talent that you got with Ronnie Mauricio, Brett Beatty, Mark Vientos, and these guys? Are you going to trade guys like Jet Williams, Kevin Parada, all these talents that they have in the minors? The Dave Stearns has a lot of decisions to make, but you have to find out. You have to do a deep dive of the roster and look into the roster. A deep, deep dive to look into that roster, man. But, man, that is what Dave Stearns has to do. The 5 things that he has to do, you know, in his first, tenure with the New York Mets as, the president of baseball operations, the first president of baseball operations. Let me know what you guys think that he should do. Let me know, how you guys are feeling about Dave Stearns. And are you guys, confident? Or are you guys, are you, do you see something in him? We'll see, man. At the end of the day, I love you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. This is All Things Mets, where you get your latest Mets media. Everything you know about the Mets on the channel. All Things Mets. I love you guys so much. Stay blessed. I love you for life, baby.